should be like something like it's
Something, some kind of, like
yeah.
glitter, just,
It
glitter
makes me
falling from the
think of
sky.
in Supernatural. He goes Ghost Facer, right? And they're like,
I love that show.
eh.
I love Supernatural. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Hello everyone. It
Uh,
is Tuesday.
Soggy Tuesday on the East
Tuesday,
Coast, but yes,
yes, Soggy Tuesday, and it's good to have you.
for sure.
Please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and hit that bell notification where it says all. Just click the all so that you get notified when
Hmm. Hmm.
we post one of videos or we go live.
Yeah.
And we have a lovely chat that you can say hello, tell us where you're from. It's always so cool to see how many people are all from around the world
Oh
and
yeah.
different places, and as well as putting in your questions. Type in your questions. We love to answer them, and we also often make those questions topics for entire sessions or entire weeks.
Hmm.
So yeah, well, today what are we chatting on about today,
We're
Gabby?
continuing our discussion about pay to plays,
Pay to
specifically
play.
platforms like Voice123 and Voices.com. And yesterday we kind of talked about the sort of overview of like where those sites came from and a little bit of
Yes.
history. So today we should probably talk about the doing. If you're setting up one of these profiles or if you already have one of these profiles, what sorts of things should you be doing?
Right.
Yeah.
Good call. Yes. So if people are just coming in, we are keeping on with our talk on pay to play. Please make sure you say hello, put your name in the chat, where you're
Yeah.
from, and ask any questions as they come up while we're chatting.
Yep.
So, okay, so where to start? So we've identified a couple of these platforms, Voices 123, Voices.com, The Voice Realm, Podalgo,
Mhm.
and so I think you mentioned, right, kind of one of the first places when you sign up and you pay is your profile.
Mhm.
You've got to put together your profile. Now,
Mhm.
every website, of course, is different, but I have
Mhm.
found that all of them are similar usually in how you set up your profile, in that it is important to say the right things, but it's also as important for these. It's funny because Gabby was talking about this yesterday. We were joking about the algorithm, but the reality is that a lot of these websites go off of what you put in your profile to match
Mhm.
you with potential, clients or for auditions. So you'll see you'll see a lot, and the profiles of people who are doing a lot of work on these sites will say something like, um, I have a warm, exciting, upbeat, friendly, professional, authoritative. Like they will go and list 100 different
Adjectives. Yeah, just
adjectives,
mhm.
right? Because the idea is that's how the algorithm is determining whether or not to send an audition to you. Do you match up with something that the client has potentially put into their audition that they're looking for?
Right. And remember, it's what I was saying yesterday about how they're based on a dating platform. It's
Yes.
the same exact formula that's used by, Match.com or Tinder or, any of those.
Absolutely. So that is very important aspect. And if you have joined one of these groups or you're thinking about joining them, but let's say you have joined and you're just not getting a lot of auditions,
Mm,
right? This could potentially be one of those reasons because your profile is not set up in a way to where you are just coming up in that algorithm.
yeah.
I've worked with many voice actors who we have had to go back and really look at that profile and say, okay, well, this is why we're not, we're saying the things that are nice, but none of these are keywords in here that are actually being matched with what people are looking for.
And it's not only, matching, yes, matching what people are looking for, of course, is hugely important, but it's also being unique in your description because the user of the platforms figures out really quickly that if they're too generic or too vague about what they're looking for, they will get overwhelmed and inundated with match points and with actors. So they start to refine their search. And as they refine, that's where these methods really come in, because the more you're doing to come up with ways to describe yourself that kind of stand out from the crowd and are a bit more specific, the better you're going to do. That's also ultimately how you avoid competing with, 200 plus people for an audition and getting it down to like 20 people.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we've talked about profile. Be unique. Make sure. I hate to use the term keyword stuffing, but that's kind of what we're doing here. We're
Yeah.
getting in the on top of making sure it's unique. We're getting in all of those adjectives, all of those things that people are generally searching for. Now that is the written part of your profile.
Well, let's back up one quick second here with the written part, because I do still think there's a few other things there that are critical. One being, be realistic, right? Don't, in that attempt to not be all things to all people, be very specific about your age range, be very specific about, dialects or characters that you do.
Mm,
But also, I've long said that when you're creating a profile like that, you're not really building a profile for a human being to read. You're really building a profile specifically for the algorithm. So I don't worry too much about the fluff. I feel like so many people like
yes.
fluff their profiles with
Yes.
information that really doesn't matter. So it's
Oh,
just something to keep in mind.
absolutely. And also, piggybacking off of that, make sure that you put down. I see this a bunch, and it's become more evident recently. Put down if you speak a different language,
Mhm.
if you have accents that you're good at, put
Mhm.
those down because people are
Mhm.
searching for those.
They are.
And if you
Yeah.
don't put it down, they will never know that you do them.
They will have no clue.
I
Mhm.
and I see it because we have a lot of people who, from different parts of the world, who want to yes tap into that English speaking market. I get it, but you cannot overlook the markets that your
Mm-mm.
native, your native language.
Yeah.
It's
Hey, am
extremely
I
important.
crazy, or is no like what's going on? The chat's super quiet.
I'm not
This is
sure. Can
weird.
anybody hello? Does people
This is
post it in the
unusual.
chat? Say hello. Tell us
Usually
you're
our chat
alive.
is pretty
I don't
active,
know.
so
Pretty quiet
maybe we
today.
need to
I'm not
reload.
sure what is going on.
Mm.
But I see some people here,
Okay.
but I don't know.
All
I
right.
mean, like in that
Well,
they're attending, but it is very low today. We only have about
yeah.
7 people here. 8. We love you.
That's
We love having you, so that's
okay.
okay.
That's okay. Maybe it's just a late day. That's
That's
just
okay.
all I
That's
wanted to make
okay.
sure of. Okay.
But
So
yeah.
audio. We should talk about,
Right.
yeah, the audio
Exactly.
portion of things next. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So the audio part, now uploading your samples, your demos, this is the next part of your profile. All right. Thank you, Lori. Lori said listening and learning. Love it. And so this is another. So, first off, think about the algorithm again. This is another way for you to make sure that you are putting up not only your demos and samples, but also within those, you're putting up the correct. And most of the sites, even like voices.com, they've caught on to all this. So basically, what they'll have is they'll have keywords, a
Mm-hmm.
section for your keywords that describes
Mm-hmm.
your audio,
Mm-hmm.
right? They'll have a section for what the title. This is an important thing. What the title of your audio is too. There's a varying things, and Gabby, I'll ask you about this too. But there's been varying things that have come out. Depending on like, should you put in like, well, just talking about the simple things because I'm an audiobook guy. So audiobooks like first person narration with dialogue. Like
Mm.
being very clear about what it is you're putting in there, right? Or on voices, they had come out with a thing, don't be afraid to put if you have a like a Ford commercial or whatever, and it's like for you not necessarily name dropping, but it's more so like someone's looking like I want it like this. I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking for something like that. I mean, I hate to say it, but in a lot of ways, you're fishing here, right? You know what I mean? You're fishing.
Yes. So what I've seen a lot with the audio, and this is where, again, it's one of those points of where pay to plays differ so much from that traditional model, is that if you're coming out of the other camp, you're used to, I have my demo, it's a minute to a minute and a half, it compiles different things that I can do. Great. But pay to play has changed that a lot on their platforms in that they really, in many instances, are looking for individual samples. So your demo isn't just this one thing that you put up, you break it down into pieces potentially and provide each of those samples. So it's not unusual to go to somebody's pay to play site and see 15, 20 right individual audio samples varying in length from 10 seconds to a minute apiece.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And each one of those is, you're right, through the naming of the file, especially is again a chance to work with the algorithm because, like, a lot of times I just see people who like put their demo up and it's just called demo.
Right.
That means nothing to the
Exactly.
algorithm.
Exactly.
You have to match up the audio samples that you present to the various categories that the platform allows for. And that again is how you are in better consideration. So it's a lot
Absolutely.
more planning. It's a lot of
Oh, yeah.
planning and mapping.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Now
mhm.
talk about, and now chat about, so how many should you have up, right? So this is something, so over the years, now of course voices.com is owned by different people now, but
Mhm.
um Voice 123, even though, well, they're owned by different people now too, but
Everybody,
it's
yeah,
still
most
run
of
by
them are.
Rolf. I think Rolf is still the CEO.
Rolf is
That's
still the CEO, but
yeah,
yes, but I mean, from its
right.
inception to now, it's all very different.
Right.
Yeah.
But at those moments, the reason why I brought those up is because, we'd interviewed, or we had those people on our conference when we were doing our conferences,
Hmm.
and we learned a lot about at least the back end when it came to, we'd ask questions like how many demos should you have up, or even like one reads or
Mm-hmm.
demos in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And on Voice 123, Rolf said, at least 100. And
Wait, what?
yeah, yeah. It said at least 100, because remember, one of the big things with Voice 123 is
Holy
their
moly.
search. Remember, they sell their search just as much as they sell the auditions.
Mm-hmm.
So on Voice 123, there's
Wow.
the tiers, and the idea, part of the tiers is not just about you getting more it's more exposure in their search,
Wow.
right, as well. So if you've been on that platform and you've done work, that a lot of most of the work I've done on Voice 123, I've been contacted for,
Mm.
not my
Mm-hmm.
auditions,
Mm-hmm.
right? So their search is a big part of what they do. So the more, if you think about each demo you upload is like a little soldier, a little marketing soldier
That's true.
going out there,
Dun, dun,
and
dun.
right. So like there's not a diminishing return, right, for having
Mm.
more on there. They don't you know discriminate against more. So you have more opportunities to show up, as long as you are making
Wow.
sure
But
you are,
100.
adding a variety, adding some different things in, here or there.
Mm.
But that was a big eye opener for me. And on Voices too,
Mm.
I think when David was there, he had brought in at least, there was the professional people had at least 50 plus,
Wow.
okay, or more, to have them up there, just because, again, it was because there's still a search there,
Mm-hmm.
and people are
Mm-hmm.
still searching.
Yeah,
Now they, yeah,
you have to see it almost as its own Google. That
right.
internal search engine is what drives absolutely everything that they do.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Now Voice Realm, you're only allowed 10,
Mm.
so they limit Voice Realm to
Yeah.
10. And but that's a smaller, they're
Mm-hmm.
they're smaller, they're not as big, and they've been through a lot. It's funny, all these platforms, they've all had a sketchy past. Why sketchy? I mean, it just, everything's with some sort of interesting going ons and happenings throughout the years with these platforms.
It's
But anyways,
true.
because I don't know if they got if Voice Realm got resold, but they did get under new management,
Mm.
because they had, bless their hearts. We'll just say that.
So I will say, I mean, I just think it's interesting how many people, because they're drawn to pay to play, they're drawn to the potential, the opportunity, right, to
Hmm.
book work. But ironically, they put their profile up very quickly, and
Yes.
they don't spend like they're in it's that it's that hurry up and do right, that rush to
Yes.
get to the potential of work, that they don't realize if you don't spend some really, really quality time building out that platform, the
Here's
algorithm will
oh yeah.
effectively penalize you. And
Here's a way to leave it. And if anybody writes down notes, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is the notes to write down
mm,
right here. So just follow this advice, and this will help you extremely well. Don't ever forget the first thing that a potential client does is type in what they're looking for,
mhm,
right? So the first thing
mhm,
they do is type it, which means an algorithm somewhere has to match
yes.
words, right? Text.
Mhm,
Then when that happens, it produces a variety of, um, a variety of samples, examples for them to use. From there, they then visually look at what they see and decide to then click on something that visually or text wise appeals to them.
mhm, mhm.
Okay. Then when they click, now this is even if they allow wherever they are allows to listen first, or they got to click through to a profile and read some more and then click on demo.
Mhm.
But in best case circumstances, your demo is the third or fourth action that is taken
Mhm.
before, before they actually hear you,
It's very true.
which means some of you our acting is at the heart of everything we do, but some of the most important things you do was what Gabby said. They have to find you first. They got to
Mhm.
read, they got to see you first
Yeah.
before they choose
This is a different
to
animal.
listen to you.
Yeah. It's a really, really different animal, and we have to spend extra time with it. We also have to adapt with it. We have to change it fairly frequently. You have to update your profile a lot. I've even heard people go so far as to say that like if you're in the lower percentile and you're not getting quality auditions, you are better off wiping out your profile and starting over,
Mm,
because
mm,
coming back from a bad profile that's already been overlooked by the algorithm is harder
mhm.
than starting from scratch. And it's intense. So,
You
yeah.
have to understand too that a lot of these places also will have cash themselves. So
Mm,
what Gabby was saying, right? You can get and they'll have that built into the algorithm. You know what I
mhm,
mean? And once you get behind on some of these places, it can be
yeah.
near impossible. To I've oftentimes, and I've always seen a difference. But it's funny, a bunch of people will start doing it. But I will message sometimes some of these places. I've done it with everybody and say, please clear the cache on my account. You'll be surprised at what changes because you get I mean, because they're algorithm on top of algorithm on top of algorithm. You get stuck in something and you're like, this isn't right. I'm not getting seen. I'm not getting that, but there's nothing wrong. Why is it happening? Don't forget, everybody, these are websites that have to be run and maintained. People
Mm,
are running them. There's mistakes that are made. That's another thing, we haven't talked about. You have to understand too, it's not like everything, and I guess on a bare minimum with how I run Academy Voices, we're human. We make there's a lot of mistakes. The website makes mistakes. Things aren't
mhm,
always
mhm.
up to par. And if you see something, you know what I mean, you'll be like, well, that's just not right. That's not working correctly. Something's wrong. And you can say something. At least I do. I
With
always
most
say
with
something.
most pay to plays, I would agree the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and if you ignore the situation, yeah, just you say something, just communicate with them. I think that that is really important. I
Yeah,
do think the other thing, and this will probably wrap us up for today, is
yeah.
that we should talk about the kind of goal setting that you should establish with pay to plays. And I
That's a good
do
point.
think, and I would hope everybody knows this by now, that obviously the more money you're spending, the better the opportunities you're getting. So, really, what you should be looking to do is make enough money
Mm,
to be able to reinvest it into a higher tier and use that to kind of move your way up the ranks
mm-hmm,
within that pay to play, so that you can get to that place of receiving top opportunities. Because otherwise,
Absolutely.
mm, yeah.
No, absolutely.
Mm,
Melissa had a question. She says, "What do you think is
good
the average
question.
income from the different platforms?" So that a great question, Melissa. I mean, I think first off, like Gabby, whatever you think, Gabby, but I think so. First off, I would say, as always, is that I've seen this across the board for some reason, and then the way you do it, every platform can generate a different amount for a different person.
Can.
Some do really well on one, some do nothing on another, but then some do really well on another and then do none on that one.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say something potentially terrible and
Oh
whatever.
no.
Um, I think the average is 0.
Mm,
I
mm.
I
It's
really
pretty
think
darn close. I would agree with
I
you, I
think the
think,
majority of
sadly.
users, I would say it well over 60% probably is 0. And then it kind of tiers from there. And I mean, yeah, I've heard people that are like, I made my money back barely, right? And then I hear people that are like, I've made a few thousand. The conversations with the people that are in the tens of thousands is
So
usually
I
pretty
have
small.
Gabby. So when we had David on from Voices,
Yeah,
he brought a and I can do is assume the numbers were right.
right.
But he brought numbers and he said that the top earners on voices.com were auditioning 50 to 60 times a day.
Hmm.
So you have to think, not only do you have to audition that much a day, but you also have to be in the algorithm sweet spot to get that many auditions.
Right, right.
So part of it does become also again a numbers game. Now we know
Hmm.
that Voice 123 has more, they try to take more of a track where they don't want you to audition for just everything.
Right.
They want you to try to just audition for things that match more you, even though they send you other ones.
Mm,
And then if you like, and then they base off, how many you're booking compared to how many you're getting auditions. And then if you
mm,
do well, you're shown more. If you don't, you're shown less.
mhm.
And that all the only reason that is set up that way is because they have so many people on the platform that it's one way they've chosen to limit how
Yeah.
many auditions you see,
Mhm.
so that it does help some people. But I think you're right, Gabby. I mean, the majority of people, sadly, they don't make anything, and that's one of the complaints about them,
Right.
right?
And
Is
the
that you pay this
turnover is
money and you make zero.
extraordinary. Um, and but there's also a sort of silver lining to this, which is
Mm-hmm.
that many people have estimated that when 80% of the people on the platform are not making any traction, they have poor profiles, they have poor audio, they're really not working voice actors effectively, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means that this, what we perceive as this massive talent pool, is much smaller than we thought.
Oh
And
yeah,
if with the correct strategy,
that's right.
you can make a difference. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much. We are going to say farewell for today. But we will be back tomorrow. And what are we're chatting about tomorrow?
I don't
We
know. I think we could maybe talk one more day about pay to plays,
I
but
think so. I think we
you
could
know,
probably dive into maybe, just best practices and specifics
mhm.
about the auditioning themselves.
Yeah,
I
that
think
sounds
that would
great.
be a really good thing to do.
That sounds really
Thank
good.
you guys so much for watching as always, and have a great day. Bye,
Bye
everybody.
guys.
Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.